The online message board 8chan just came back online after its network provider Cloudflare dropped it over the weekend, and then it went dark again. We've been sort of like...
It's touch and go, it
Yes.
seems, over the past literally just a few minutes. The suspect in the El Paso shooting allegedly posted a racist and anti-immigrant manifesto to the site just moments before opening fire at a Walmart, killing at least 22 people. This was not the first time a suspected mass killer has used 8chan to spread hateful messages.
In a statement, Cloudflare said 8chan had crossed the line and has, quote, repeatedly proven itself to be a cesspool of hate.
On Monday, 8chan announced Canadian cybersecurity company BitMitigate would be the forum's new provider. However, BitMitigate is now facing pushback from its server provider.
So this is all detailed in a new article that's been posted on CBSNews.com. Joining us now is the author and reporter of that report, Graham Cates. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So 8chan, we've been looking online at your phone, our computers. It came back on briefly, then it went off again. What's going on?
Yesterday, BitMitigate had its own servers cut off. And what happened was a company found out that they were kind of unwittingly providing service to the company that was protecting 8chan. And almost within an hour of finding that out, they cut it off. And now there were two companies scrambling to figure out how to get their services back online. It wasn't just 8chan, but it was the company providing its cybersecurity for them. It looks like that problem has maybe been resolved for now. Just within this last couple of minutes, we pulled up 8chan on my phone. It's back online. But it was spotty. I loaded it once and it was up. I loaded it a second time and there was a notice from BitMitigate, this isn't working. And then I loaded it again and it was working. And what you could see happen today is as the new server provider for the security company that's protecting 8chan gets identified, we'll have to see how they respond to that.
Right.
Maybe they knew they were going to be the server provider. Maybe they were just rented, filling out an online form.
Right. I wonder if we're going to see sort of a game of whack-a-mole almost as people target whatever sites or services support 8chan. So you mentioned in your report that 8chan as well as Epic, is it Epic? We've seen sort of them be sort of a haven for far-right messages and conversations. Give us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So Epic is really becoming, at least like in the public eye, associated with saving some of these websites that come to the fore after mass shootings. And it owns BitMitigate. So between Epic itself and BitMitigate, which it now owns as of this year, it stepped in when there was outrage against the Daily Stormer. That was a Nazi website that was briefly saved by BitMitigate. And then last year, after the shooting at the Pittsburgh synagogue in November, Gab, which is a social media company for the far right, lost its own web services, and Epic stepped in and said, we're going to provide it for you. And they say they do this because they believe in free speech, and they think even hateful speech should get an online platform.
So 8chan's founder, Frederick Brennan, told the New York Times he wants the site to be shut down. Both he and the current owners live in the Philippines. So just before we even get into why he thinks it should be shut down, and he's the founder of 8chan.
And we should clarify that he's the founder, but he doesn't have anything to do with the website anymore.
Yeah. What is it? I mean, for people who are just wondering, because they hear 8chan, they hear 4chan, they hear Gab, and they don't know, they get that people post messages on them, but I don't think that a lot of people understand exactly what these sites are and what their purpose is.
8chan itself is pretty unique, even among these far-right boards. It's described by its owner as a blank page, and you could post anything you want, and as long as you don't violate their very thin terms of service.
Which are?
I actually don't know.
Can you post pornography?
They say that you can't violate the laws of your own country, right? Okay. So if you're in the U.S. and the FBI comes to them and says, we want to know at least the IP address of who posted this, they say they'll cooperate, right, with the FBI on that. But basically, they're not there trying to get rid of you for doing that. They say you could post whatever you want, and this is like our big free speech social experiment. But then there's the other side of it where people are saying, well, that experiment is going awry. It's not just that people are posting, and this is now twice where they've posted their screeds before they've committed mass shootings, but people are posting really hateful things, and it's constant, and it seems as though the community encourages it.
Is it moderated?
They have moderators. Here's the thing. 8chan started because there was another chan called 4chan that was very popular that had kind of this same community. And at some point, it started banning IPs that it knew were posting illegal things. And the community, or at least a section of the 4chan community, was outraged by this. They said, we're supposed to have the right to do whatever we want. So 8chan started as a response to that, to make this like even more free speech community than 4chan. So they say it's moderated, but there's very little evidence that that moderation is doing.
Can I just ask one last question about this? Because I am very curious about these sites. What is the profile of people who are posting? And I don't mean what is their political profile. Are they 15-year-old boys? Are they 50-year-old men? Are they predominantly American? Are they predominantly from other countries? I'm just trying to get a sense of, because when you look through some of the postings, they don't sound as if they are written by people who even have a command of proper grammar. And I know that that's part of like the fun of it, right? You can just write in the language that young people and gamers use, but I'm just trying to get a sense of, is there a way to know who the demo is?
Well, it is predominantly English speaking, but we know from the New Zealand shooting that covers the English speaking world, and it appears to be predominantly male, right? But they use this this slang, and part of the point of using this, like it's hard to read. Part of the point of using this slang is, if I were to go on and post and I did it poorly because I don't
they
want
would
to
know
write like
you were
that.
an
Yeah,
outsider.
they're like, oh, this person's new to this person's a cop, maybe. You have to talk in that language in order to kind of communicate and stay on the site in a productive way.
That's really interesting.
And what was the last question? I said that before, but one more. Why did Frederick Brennan decide to launch this? Why did he decide to create this space? What was the point of it? Because message boards have existed since the internet. So why these?
So I mean, again, it's this whole idea of being able to express yourself without limits, right? And that. But you now see that he has regrets about that. I don't think that when he started it, he thought, now this is going to be the breeding ground for mass shooters. And at least he's not involved with that anymore. But
I think it's only been maybe a year, maybe a little bit more than a year since he sort of divorced himself from the website. So, I mean, since then, there's been all manner of things on the website that he was obviously comfortable enough with.
This idea of free speech, I get it. But the point that I think a lot of law enforcement officials are making is, if you are afraid to do it standing on a soapbox in the middle of Times Square, the anonymity that the internet provides is why you do that, right?
Yeah.
And that means that goes to motivation. So if you know it's wrong, then there's an issue there. If you know that it's not right, if you know that it's wrong, that could pose a problem. Is how, when you use the mental health angle and you talk about people posting things on the internet, or this Cesar Sayoc, who just was sentenced to 20 years yesterday, his lawyer tried to argue that, he had a rough childhood and he didn't realize the ramifications. And what the prosecution said is, no, he knew that this was a wrong thing to do. He knew the difference between right and wrong, and that's how they nailed him. So it's the same thing with these websites. They want free speech, but why not then shout it from the rooftops? Because I think a lot of people know that it's not accepted.
Yeah, they like the community that they're forming. And then I think another part of it, though, is you keep hearing them say, like, when our servers are shut down, that's censorship. But it's not the government censoring them. It's the businesses that are free enterprises saying, we don't want to be associated with you. It's other people saying, hey, business, we're not going to do business with you if you're associated with them. So it's not like the government is censoring them. It's people saying, we don't want you around.
That's a great point. Graham Cates, thank you very much.
Thank you, Graham. Really appreciate it.